Might as well go ahead.
I'd say so. Cool. Alrighty. Well, welcome everybody to YouTube 101. My name is Schande Thompson, and then this is...
Who?
This is Stormi the Folf.
No, my name is Schande. This is Stormi the Folf.
Okay. Welcome to the YouTube panel. This is both me and Stormi's first time running a panel, so bear with us if you seem really awkward and, you know, awkward. I said that twice. All right.
Gravity, can you stop pulling the microphone down, please, and thank you.
You keep hitting it with your nose.
Well, it's hitting my nose. I'm not doing anything.
You can move on to the next slide.
Okay.
All right. So, how many of you do stuff on YouTube right now? All right. How many of you watch a lot of YouTube? There we go. All right. Well, honestly, getting started on YouTube is relatively easy. It's all it really takes is, you know, a Gmail account and an idea. I'm pretty sure that's a future slide, and I'm getting ahead of myself here. But yeah. So if you want to be a YouTuber, YouTube is a really, really creative outlet to put out just about anything that you may have swimming around in your brain out there. You, like literally just about any kind of content can be found on YouTube, whether it be, you know, video games is really big, education, sports, various furry trashness, it's all there. Let's see. And there are hundreds of thousands of different active YouTubers today, so that's why there's such a wide, broad variety of all this different content, because so many different people with different ideas for content, it can all be shared. So, hi, welcome.
Hi,
you pulled it just in
we
time.
made it to the minute.
All right, we just started, so you didn't miss much. All right, so let's see. But honestly, like, if there's anything you can think of, any kind of, you know, hobby, interest, some of the third word that's not popping into my mind right now, you can find some kind of content that's dedicated to it on YouTube. It's such a vast and it's such a vast platform. It doesn't really have too many big juggernaut competitors, so it kind of, it's right there at the top, you know. It's not much else going on with it. All right, we can move on to the next slide, and I'll let Stormi take this one.
First of all, I can't read. It's over here.
It's about waiting to start.
Yeah, I literally can't read it.
Oh, I feel as though we probably should have had something up here.
We should have had reference guide.
But we really should have. We're vastly unprepared.
I'm always unprepared with my saying.
Take a picture of it with your phone. Read it from there.
Your human is showing.
I know, right? Please stand by as we do more preparations in the middle of the panel. There, let's see. Can you see that?
Mostly.
Okay, we'll go with it.
I'm going to try. This is going to be really cute. So, what do you need to start a YouTube channel? Number one, as Schande previously mentioned, you need a Gmail/Google account. Because without one, you cannot create a YouTube account, because they are basically one and the same at this point. You also need a video camera of some sort. It can be the camcorder that I have up there, which I'm using to film this, and I use to film my videos, or it could be your smartphone.
It really can be anything. Every video that I've made on my channel, it's all come from this.
And you also need a way to edit the video. In this case, I use Sony Vegas Pro, and Schande uses Adobe Premiere, but there are also free alternatives you can find online, and of course there are suites you can get on your phone for pretty much nothing at this point. And lastly, you need an idea. What's motivating you? What's inspiring you? What is that random idea you had at 3 a.m. in the morning? Did you write it down?
Honestly, like, the time 3 a.m. those are whenever like people come up with their best ideas, just at random intervals at 3 a.m. honestly.
You're trying to sleep and your brain's more active.
Exactly, yeah.
Pretty much.
So yeah, just that's really the threadbare stuff that you'll need for a YouTube channel. And honestly, When it comes to the editing software and stuff, whilst Adobe and Sony Vegas they're kind of like the most common and most popular that you'll see. Like everyone who here remembers Windows Movie Maker. Yes, I mean that's still a very viable option. It's very user friendly, very easy to use. Welcome to Stormi's channel.
No.
It's very user friendly, very easy to use, and usually comes with most computers, like preset, any kind of Windows hardware system, like it comes with it pre-installed.
Sometimes.
I don't know. Every time that I've had a laptop, it's been there like randomly.
Like with Windows 10, I think now you have to download it as an extra, but I still think it's free.
Naturally. But yeah, there's no shortage of finding any kind of editing software. You just gotta find one that you think works best with you and kind of go with that. Moving on. Thank you. Whoa, too far. Here we are. All right. So, what kind of content do you guys want to make? Let me hear. What are some of your favorite things to watch on YouTube? Comedy. Anyone else? Vine compilations. Skits. Dancing, animation. Speaking of animation, I've been like obsessed with Let Me Explain Studios and Jaden Animations lately. So yeah. Out there by the door?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I guess whatever comes on my YouTube feed, I can't really.
True. Yeah.
Watch just one thing.
Honestly, like there's so many different types of contents that that you could put out there, and honestly, like every furry YouTuber that I've seen, they kind of fit their own special niche on the platform. Like Stormi here, there aren't very too many furry YouTubers out there that do educational videos on the fandom itself. Stormi heavily prides himself on doing advice. Sometimes he does story times, and it goes really in depth on various aspects of the furry fandom. Like his most recent video was the unique persona species, and it's actually so far it's one of his most viewed videos.
Yeah, it's 45,000, I think.
It's really getting a lot of traction. So, but the informational kind of videos is what he really likes to focus on. Myself, I don't really have a kind of set. The word is not coming to me.
You just do you.
Yeah, I kind of just do whatever pops into my mind. I really like something I've found about myself that I really enjoy actually filming are skits. Because, writing scripts and acting and stuff, I've been doing those for the majority of my life. So it's something that I find really comfortable and really comes really naturally to me. So for anyone out there wanting to do any kind of content, a great place to start would be just find what comes natural to you, something that you are very passionate about, something that motivates you, all that kind of good stuff. Right around here, like you have various different, like say comedy. There are a lot of different comedy YouTubers out there, say like Majira Glitch, Rika. They all do comedy kind of skit-based videos. We also have commentary, which are also called character stills. Those are videos where an art piece of the person's character over instead of them physically appearing on camera. They'll kind of pop in and out, different animations and stuff. YouTubers like Cothrix and Blue the Dragon and Glitch, they specialize in those kind of videos. And you have music, like Blacklink here. He's really well known in the furry YouTube community for doing a bunch of diss tracks. And they're really hilarious because they start out as diss tracks and then they turn into compliment tracks. It's hilarious, and he's really talented. And finally, another really big section of furry YouTube are convention videos. There are some channels that specifically will go to a convention to do one big convention video, and that's what they're known for. And at the very end over there, that is Wolf. He's one of the more well-known convention YouTubers. You have others like Barton Fox and all that good stuff, and I'm all over the place. I apologize.
No, I want to say something. Like Barton Fox is one of my first furry YouTuber experiences. He's the reason that I wanted to start going to conventions. Like, because I saw how much fun everyone was having. And the dance videos too.
Yeah, there's definitely a very special, there's a very special talent for putting together a really special con video that would, like, just, even if you weren't at the convention, like watching the video, you can physically feel like you were there and you experience everything else. It's really a special talent. It's something I really admire about Keith Wolf and Barton Fox.
So the big question is, what inspires you to become a YouTuber? And what is inspiring this microphone to keep sinking downwards for no reason? Is it a certain type of content? Is it unboxings, commentary, video games, etc.? Or is it a certain YouTuber, like Madeira, Markiplier, Vine Brothers? Or perhaps it's a certain hobby? Or maybe it's just a desire to share a talent, and the words are too tiny.
With the world.
With the world, okay.
I'm sorry, I typed too much on this slide.
It's okay. Anything you can think of can be turned into YouTube content, as long as it stays within the YouTube guidelines.
And we'll get to that in a second. But yes, as far as myself goes, what really inspired me to start doing YouTube was actually Madeira Strawberry. He was the first YouTuber that I came across, for a YouTuber anyway, that I came across, and I really enjoyed his videos because he was one of the earliest parts for YouTube. He was, he kind of started the whole thing, and now of course there's this massive community. Stormi, who inspired you to start YouTube?
Oh boy, Kari. I'm not gonna lie. Like, literally one of my favorite furry YouTubers.
So, as far as the guidelines goes, there are guidelines to making YouTube videos, because surprise, surprise, not just anything can pop up onto YouTube, or else there would be some rather not nice things on there. But it's very easy to find what can and cannot go onto YouTube. We actually wasn't copy-paste, but it was a very quick Google search on what could go on there. So the things that are big no-nos on YouTube are nudity, sexually explicit material, violence and graphic content, offensive material, hateful speech, spam, threats, misleading metadata. We'll just go with it. I have no idea what that means, but we'll go with it. And other various no-no material.
It's sort of like using inappropriate or incorrect tags in your videos to sort of like bait people into watching your stuff.
Clickbait.
Yes, exactly.
Something like YouTube needs to regulate that more often, let me tell you.
No, yeah.
But honestly, like, reading through all of this, like, you may be looking at this list saying, oh, this isn't allowed on YouTube? Duh. Like, if it's generally not very well received in basic society, it's not very well received on YouTube either. So, you know, as long as your content avoid these various no-nos, then your channel will be pretty in the clear. Infringing upon the guidelines can really harm your channel status, which can include suspension of your posting ability. Sometimes it'll take away, we'll get to this in a second, but it'll take away your ability to make money off of your channel. Or it could even terminate your channel altogether. So as long as, like, you're more than welcome to make anything you like as long as it stays within these guidelines and you follow all the rules and you be nice to YouTube. Ooh, these are very small words. I apologize, Stormi.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. Awkward silence. So, you want to monetize. There are several requirements to meet before you can, oh my god, it's so tiny, before you can monetize your channel. Of course, these requirements are always subject to change. If you've been on YouTube for a while, you know they're always changing the rules. But last I checked, you need to have 1,000 subscribers at a minimum. You also need a minimum of 10,000 video views and 4,000 watch hours every year. You must be 18 or have parental consent, and your channel must be in good standing with the community guidelines, which includes, but are not limited to, no copyright strikes and no community guideline strikes. That means don't upload a full-length movie and don't upload hate speech, basically. If you do both, then somebody will come after you.
Very quickly, too. There's another channel that it's not even like monetized or anything, but I used a bit of the song Bad Reputation by Joan Jett. You know that song? And literally within 20 minutes, it was taken down. I was flabbergasted.
Demonetized.
They got yeah.
Despite all of this, ad revenue is also continuing to decrease, unfortunately, which brings us to our next point.
Unfortunately, when it comes to monetization, like we said before, the prerequisites for it are constantly changing. Like whenever I first started out on YouTube, I was able to monetize. It wasn't very much, but I was able to. And then, you know, as soon as I like got that set up, they changed the prerequisites, and now I can't monetize because I don't have 1,000 subscribers or all that watch time. But it's always subject to change, so make sure that you keep an eye out on all that. But fortunately, there are plenty of alternates to YouTube monetization, because even if you do make the prerequisites to monetization, it usually isn't the best form of income, because its worth is always changing. You know, what a video that would get you maybe $1,000 at one point will now only get you maybe a couple hundred. It's always changing like that. So nowadays, Patreon is a really big thing in the furry fandom as a whole, whether it be artists, YouTubers, musicians, fursuit makers. Tons of furries use Patreon, and how Patreon kind of works is that people will send in will sign up to do a certain pledge, monthly pledge, and then however much that adds up to, the creator will get paid that every month. So it's a good way for creators to get monthly income that way. Coffee is another thing. It's similar to Patreon. I'm not 100% sure how it works. I haven't used it myself.
It's basically a PayPal proxy, basically.
So, because I know the tagline is buy so-and-so a coffee. So you send in a certain amount, and then they get it. It's a lot like PayPal. Streaming is another huge thing. There is seldom a furry YouTuber you'll see nowadays that doesn't stream. You do bi-weekly streams, don't you?
Yeah, I stream like every 2 weeks.
So there's different ways that you can monetize through streaming. You've got YouTube Super Chat, which is a streaming revenue that you get directly through the YouTube site, and you also have Streamlabs, which is a streaming software that people can also make donations through. That's another good way to get streaming revenue from your streams. And a relatively new addition to YouTube, like within the past couple months or so, are these channel memberships and sponsorships. I'm also not 100% sure of how it works. From what I was reading, it's a lot like Patreon, except it's directly through YouTube. But in order to do this, you have to have a minimum of 100,000 subscribers, and yeah, so it's essentially YouTube's Patreon. And a side note is that though you'll see a YouTuber will make a certain amount in donations for a stream, that's not that's not the final total that they get, because these streaming networks, they gotta make their money too, so they'll take a bit of whatever you make for their own, and then you'll get the rest. And that can range anywhere between 15 to 40%. So make sure you do your research before you decide on which one you want to go with. So you want to retain as much money as you can.
There's something else I wanted to say regarding Twitch. You really want to be careful when it comes to promoting Twitch through your YouTube channel, since YouTube and Twitch are basically competitors, and they don't want that stuff going on. I've heard of people getting their videos removed and getting soft banned for reasons like that. So
Twitch nowadays, Twitch is essentially YouTube's first big competitor in a long time. It's really gained a lot of traction in the past couple months. So of course, YouTube is wanting to take preventative measures to, keep their hierarchy on there, and Twitch is essentially, jeopardizing that. So I mean, you know, business is business, competition is competition, so you know, be really careful about which platform you want to do.
Growing your channel. You want to diversify yourself. You don't want to just rely strictly on YouTube alone, especially if you're working with something that's a little more obscure and uncommon. I'm not saying the furry YouTube community is a relatively unusual thing. It is growing, but I digress. Social media. Social media is your best friend. If you want your channel to grow, like it or not, you're going to have to use social media.
And a lot of it.
Yeah. There's Twitter, there's Facebook, Furry Amino, Instagram, Telegram. I really like Telegram. Also, something else you want to do is keep some kind of schedule with your uploads. Whether it's once a week, once every 2 weeks, maybe twice a month. Have some kind of schedule in place so that your viewers can know when to expect you to upload a new video, and I can't grammar. Also, collaborate. Collabing with other YouTubers is one of the best ways to spread your name around because you can reach several different audiences and demographics in this manner. And I forgot to read the other thing about uploading. This will keep your channel relevant and make the algorithm happy, which
you have to keep the algorithm happy.
Yeah, which
is fall into obscurity.
Which is the algorithms do not sleep, which is really frustrating. Feels like you can't take a break sometimes. In my case, anyway. But yes, collabs, keep a good, consistent schedule, and social media. Yeah.
There's a small note at the very bottom that I know for a fact you can't read.
Oh, no, I'm going to read it anyway.
Oh, there you go. You can read it.
Side note, don't beg arm, wrist.
Oh, sorry about that. There you
go. Side note, do not beg others to subscribe to you. That doesn't do anything except leave a bad taste in other people's mouths, and then we have to reach for the mouthwash. So, yeah.
Like, how many people have received some kind of message somewhere being like, oh, hey, can you subscribe to my channel? Can you follow me on Twitter? This.
Or if somebody grabs your phone and subscribes himself for you.
That's perfect.
That's what's really annoying about that.
Mm-hmm. Like, nobody enjoys receiving those kinds of messages. Like, fairly, I mean, to be fair, if it's like a friend of yours or something, then it's less annoying, usually. But if it's a total random stranger that you don't know, you're like, who are you? Go away. Honestly, but yeah, doing that is not really, it's not the best way to grow your subscriber count. So, if you can, avoid that. Next slide for favor. Alright, so our final thoughts on this. When it comes to YouTube, don't do it just for the money because, well, first off, YouTube is really hard to make money off of nowadays. Like, back when, between 2009 and 2012, it was a lot easier to get well known on YouTube and make a lot of money. That's when, people like Shane Dawson, PewDiePie, Tyler Oakley, the Fine Brothers, that's when they were all getting really big on YouTube and, getting all these accolades and making all this revenue. But nowadays, since so many people are getting such notoriety on YouTube, that's why, their ad revenue has become not worth as much as anymore. And it's also, with so many different creators out there, it's really hard for other people to get their name out there. So, yeah, so that's why if you do YouTube solely for the money, unfortunately, you're most likely going to be really disappointed. You want to talk about the next point? Don't focus on subscriber count?
Yes, don't focus just on the numbers, don't focus on the metrics. You need to put yourself first. You need to make sure you're having fun, you're enjoying producing the content. If you're not having fun, and all you care about is the subscribers, you're going to stay miserable, probably, for a very long time, so don't do that. You need to make yourself happy first, before you even think about that stuff.
Yeah, honestly, if you compare yourself to other YouTubers and such, it's just gonna make you really jealous, and that's never a good feeling to constantly be feeling. So
it's just toxic.
do YouTube because it makes you happy. Make the content that you want to make because you enjoy making it. That's really the most important part of it all. And you need to make sure that success does not happen overnight. It takes a long, long time. you know, it does happen rarely. One person will get their one big viral video and then, you know, they've Charlie bit my finger themselves into fame. But that is one of those once in a blue moon things that doesn't happen very often. So
it's just so rare. You got to be extremely lucky to just end up on the front page, basically.
yeah, it really is. So don't. The point is of that is essentially, you know, don't like wake up every day like pining to become YouTube famous, because you know it's not easy to do. It's really not.
Unpopular opinion, being famous certainly does have its own set of cons that you wouldn't have to worry about when you're not well known. So definitely pros and cons.
Let's see. Don't limit yourself and try new things. Don't limit yourself and try new things.
Very, very good point. Very good point. Think outside the box. Don't be afraid to try new things, as long as it does not violate intergalactic law, aka YouTube's guidelines.
Yeah, honestly, like if a really wacky idea for a skit pops into your head and you really want to do it, do it. Like,
there's this guy that he flushes random things down the toilet, and his videos get thousands upon thousands of views.
Like, who in a million years would have thought that a video of a bottle of Coke being crushed in a hydraulic press would have been like super popular? And now that's like, the hydraulic press videos are literally like its own subgenre of YouTube now. Yeah, the 1,000-degree knife. Like all these little niches that pop up just because someone had a weird random idea that they wanted to put out there. So if you have something that you really want to try, like go for it. Like don't wrap yourself up in like, oh, people will think it's weird. It's, you know, nobody else does it. But we'll just, you know.
You never know until you try.
In the words of Shia LaBeouf,
Just
do it!
I'm not gonna scream at
Let your dreams be dreams.
Now, I'm going to let Stormi talk about this next one. It's engage your audience, because Stormi is very good at this.
Sometimes. Sometimes. Right now I'm not. Right now I just want to go back in my shell.
That's because we're right here in your face.
Yes, please don't attack me, please. But yeah, I do like live streams every 2 weeks, and I try to talk to everyone as best as I can. I kind of hit a point where I need some help with learning the chat. Like with some of my Patreon supporters, they'll call me during my streams, and I'll just have a little chat with them. Like, you know, what's going on with you? You got a new fursuit, you got a new persona, tell me about that. You know, things like that. I'm trying to engage with my fan base to the best of my abilities, and I've been doing that since I first started. Right when before I did like these little chat streams, I would do like gaming streams. I'd play Spyro. And little did I know that trying to communicate with everyone while trying to get through treetops, oh my god.
It's really important to engage with the audience, because that is, you know, your audience is what makes your channel. If you don't, you know, if you don't engage your audience, if you don't show appreciation to your viewers, you aren't going to get very far. So engaging your audience the best you can, whether it be, you know, doing, you know, a Q&A video every now and again. If you do, you know, a live stream where you just, you know, talk with everyone that's watching, it honestly makes a whole lot of difference. Okay, this is the big one. This next one, you don't need a fursuit to be a successful furry YouTuber. You really, really don't. You don't even need a fursuit to be a furry. You've heard this all the time, but it's true.
Blue the Dragon.
Yeah, like furry YouTubers like Ascari Husky, Blue the Dragon, Glitch, and Beta, they're all really well-known furry YouTubers, and not a single one of them has used a fursuit to make their claim to fame. And I mean, I will say, there are certain channels that have used fursuits to kind of, you know, boost themselves a bit. At the end of the day, it's really all about the content. Is what makes the channel. The content makes the channel. Yeah, furry YouTube is not furry Twitter. You don't usually get a bunch of followers by having a cute fursuit, unlike Twitter. Twitter, that does happen. But yeah, so if you're thinking that you're not gonna succeed just because you don't have a fursuit, that's a thought that you don't really want to let it take over yourself, because
No,
it's
that's
certainly
just-
not true.
That's just going to discourage yourself.
Yeah,
and
don't
you
discourage
need
yourself.
that,
That's
so.
And finally, just have fun with it. Really,
Yes.
YouTube. At the very bottom line, YouTube is just a way for you to express yourself in the way that you want to.
You need to enjoy what you do. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, what's the point?
There is no point in doing it if you don't enjoy it. Last slide. All right, so this is where we will open the floor to any questions. Yeah, we've got another half an hour, so we'll use this for questions, answers, comments, concerns. Yes.
How long have you both been doing YouTube?
I've been trying to do various YouTube channels since I was 13, but as far as for YouTube goes, I did my first video in 2016, so a couple of years.
In my case, I've been doing video editing for the last 10 years or so. I've maintained several YouTube channels over the years, some for jobs, others I just did for fun. One thing I learned very quickly is video editing is not the same thing as getting things ready on camera and talking on camera, which I was really bad at first. So, yeah.
And honestly, camera presence is something that comes with time. It's very seldom you'll run into someone that's got like a perfect camera presence right off the bat. It's something that you have to kind of grow accustomed to, and it happens over time. Yes?
If you hate your job, it's written and trying it.
That's a good point. Honestly, I don't think we hate our YouTube. It can definitely get exhausting at some points, because there are certain things that are just kind of like will drive you up the wall bonkers.
I mean, one thing where you actually have to leave the house, we're doing
Oh.
YouTube versus that.
Nah, if I wouldn't recommend doing something you don't enjoy doing. Honestly. Does anyone else have a question?
Saki, I know you had a question.
Are any of you, I don't know what, oh, sorry, no, you know. Okay, are any of you monetized at the moment?
Nah, that's him.
Where's your Lamborghini?
Hard.
My car is 15 years old, okay. I want a Lamborghini.
His Lamborghini's in his pocket.
And your car is almost legally adult.
That's true, that is true.
My car's
But yeah, I'd like to get to the point of monetization. I mean, I was at one point, even though I made a grand total of, are you ready to hear how ballin' I am on YouTube before they took me down?
Boy.
I made an entire 82 cents.
That's a lot of things.
Round of applause. But yeah, honestly, I myself, I don't really care as much if I get monetized on YouTube, just because of what I'm doing right now. I really, really love my job, so I wouldn't want to leave it to pursue YouTube full time. However, my partner does do it full time, so if he gets demonetized, that's an issue.
Well, I just moved far away and go work somewhere else.
To Russia, it'd be easier with all the time.
Yeah. Does anyone else have a question? Yes?
I don't know if it's one y'all can answer. You touched on copyright, but how does that even work? I know what copyright is, but if, my kid wants to get on there and maybe have some background music that's popular with everyone, how do you even go about
There are certain rules when it comes to copyright.
do that?
The basic, because by all technicalities, you can use copyrighted material in your videos as long as it doesn't exceed 20 seconds. But when it comes, if you use anything longer than that, then the owners of the content have every right to say like, hey, that's mine, take it down. But fortunately, when it comes to music and such, there is such an extensive database of non-copyrighted music that people use. But what I did, I was recommended this one musician named Kevin MacLeod. I think that's how you say his last name. But yeah, he has an entire website filled with this massive database of royalty-free music. So honestly, if Ryder would want to do YouTube, he could just go onto his website and just browse all the different tracks he makes, because he's constantly adding more, and just find one that he likes and plug it in. That's the best way to spice up your videos with music and not infringe on your guidelines. Yes?
If you do play someone else's music, if you do you have to, can you give them the rights, or is, you still can't use it? Not give them the rights, but, yeah.
If someone, hypothetically, say Lady Gaga gave you permission to use Bad Romance in one of your videos and still be able to monetize it, then
Oh, because if you made money, I see where
yeah,
you're
that's
going
the big
now.
thing.
Yeah.
Like if your channel's not monetized
Yeah.
and you use copyrighted stuff, you're less likely to have the video taken down because you're not making money off of it, so it's not that huge of a deal. It still happens, like with the Joan Jett music I use. I didn't monetize in that. They were like, nope. But yeah, but if you were to get the rights to something, as long as you have proof of it happening, of you having the permission, then you still be able to make money. It's just really hard to get something like that.
Unless your nephew is signed.
Exactly.
So how would you go about trying to edit your video if you hate hearing your voice on the playback?
That is something that you'd have to kind of discover for yourself, I guess. I can't stand my voice. I think I am nasally and annoying as PG-13 word. But there's always ways that you can alter your voice using, editing software.
Well, I mean, I can do impressions, but I was thinking I could do like hand gestures.
Yeah, that always works too. There's really no shortage of ways to change up how you speak and all that. You have any input on that, Stormi?
In my case, you just sort of get used to it. It took me several weeks to get over my annoying voice hearing it over and over and over. I sounded so drony and depressed in my first 2 videos.
Honestly, to be quite honest, after a while, you really don't care anymore. I was really self-conscious in my first couple videos, and that is going to happen. Like I'm telling you right now, it's going to happen. You're going to hate your early videos. You're going to be really self-conscious about it. But at that point, once you get more comfortable on camera, once you get more comfortable about the idea of people actually seeing your videos, you really just don't give a darn.
Don't give any flying potatoes. Yeah.
Exactly.
So how would you think, if someone became a YouTuber, how much do you think they have to adjust their life? Changing from they had a job and they became full-time YouTuber, how much would it change? How much would their life?
It's not really drastic like that. Usually it takes a long time to build up yourself on YouTube, let alone make it profitable. But if that were to happen, like if you went from, let's just say, working a 9-to-5 office job or whatever, and suddenly you're at home making videos day and night, first thing you have to get used to is not leaving the house as much. You have to set some kind of schedule, otherwise you'll end up like me and you won't sleep for 4 or 5 days. You don't get regular tax forms anymore. You have to do your own taxes. You have to hire an accountant if it's complex enough.
If you're as bad as accounting as I am and literally failed the class 3 times, you need to hire someone to do it for you.
Yeah, you don't get refunds if you're a YouTuber. You get to pay in.
And honestly, from what I hear, being a full-time YouTuber it's a lot of work. I hear regularly, with big YouTubers that I admire and I enjoy watching, it's more work than they have ever done in their life, even with like a regular 9-to-5 job or something like that. Because unless you have an entire full team, like the Fine Brothers, they got an entire team in studio. But if you're one person, you got to do all the filming, all of the editing, all of the audio recording, all of the set build up. All of that is just you.
I was just going to say, Schande helps me a lot with my scripts. And he has saved my life many times. Many times.
I really enjoy script writing. It's something I've been doing for quite a while with my background in theater, so it's no biggie. But yeah, that's another thing you have to take into account, because unless you regularly do a bunch of improv video, which I do, which I probably shouldn't because I end up sounding like a total moron when I'm kind of going freebird. script writing is something that you have to take into account too, and that can take a whole lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when it comes to full-time YouTubing, it can feel like having 2 full-time jobs at once, it seems.
Yeah, it's sort of created a problem for me that I'm still trying to work through. I feel like I have to be working every second of the day, and I will respond to people on Twitter asking me about my next video at 3 in the morning when I'm getting ready to like take a shower or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta answer this, then I'll get to the shower.
Shower at 3 in the morning. You should
Yeah,
be in
what
bed.
I have problems.
In bed.
I have problems.
I have 4 a.m. shift.
Yes.
If you could give a piece of advice, like something that you would have done differently when you started out on YouTube, do you have a good piece of advice, like something you would have done differently? Maybe like a different anything.
I probably wouldn't have worn the mask that I did. See, before I got my first. Stop laughing at me.
That's what I was gonna say, like maybe not do it to one specific persona or whatever.
Yeah, honestly, like with me before I got Schande here, I used to wear this old Halloween store mask. It was just this little box here. It had a little nose. It looked like some kind of like superhero, like Foxman flying off into the night. It was so cringy. It was so bad. I absolutely hate it. In fact, I did an entire video of me reacting to my old videos when I wore that, and it was one of the worst experiences I've ever had. I will never do it again. But of course, that's just me.
All in fun.
Honestly, there aren't any like videos or anything that I regret making. Well, I did. Back when. Do you remember when FurF had its source code hacked and the website was down for a week or something? I did some kind of like news cover video, 2 news cover videos to that. A, whenever it first went down, and B, whenever it came back up. And those videos were really stupid. I probably wouldn't do that again. If I could go back and make those videos again, I wouldn't make those videos. What about you, Stormi?
Like the business side of it. The business side of it, would he change or you change anything like when you started?
I haven't really done too much on the business side of it all, just because my channel is not big enough to do so. Right now my channel's sitting at 850 subscribers, and you know, I'm nowhere near like, you know, Majira or Stormi level. But so I don't have an answer for that. What about you?
I'm gonna need you to reword that question. I'm so sorry.
Like the business side of it, since you are, you know, doing it to monetize, or however, I can't say that word, is there anything that you would change differently about how you started?
Anything I would change differently about how I started, like before I started monetizing, or?
Yeah, like to get it started better, or?
Move the channel along with that.
That is a really good question. But honest to God, I'm still learning about it, so. It's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to say what I would change.
So just go at it and just do it.
I just sort of went at it at my own pace.
Good
And
deal.
Yeah, that's definitely go at your own pace, because if you try to rush it along, you're gonna
Mess up.
hit a solid wall very hard.
Yeah,
But it
instead of
won't be
like, one thing I was going to say, like if you're thinking you're going to make more money by posting a video every single day, I got bad news for you. It doesn't work that way, unless every single video is a knockout punch. And
Hey, that's good advice.
Or if you make really clickbaity videos or something, you know.
So maybe quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity.
Preparation, it
Absolutely.
sounds like, before you
Yeah,
maybe even launch or something.
exactly. Like Stormi's got a good schedule right now with his once a week videos and his once every 2 week streams. But even like some of the biggest furry names out there, like Majira Strawberry, you all know Majira, right?
Yeah.
He posts maybe once a month, and he is still booming, like booming. So honestly, as long as you make, you know, quality videos, and you engage your audience, everything we essentially talk about this panel, then you're gonna have a good time. Let's see, we've got 15 minutes. Any other questions?
Oh, I guess I got another one.
Yes?
So how do you deal with having like 25,000 people follow you and constantly begging you like, oh, when's your next video? Or hi, Stormi, where, how are you doing? Or something, or asking you for other stuff like that.
I try not to feel bad because it's humanly impossible to respond to all those messages. They come in faster than I can reply to them. So I prioritize basically my Patreon supporters and my best friends. That's who I talk to the most. The people that are literally supporting my content, I'm going to talk to them. So I try to talk to other fans once in a while, like I'll reply to my YouTube comments at random, but it's impossible for me to respond to every single message I get. Like I still get people messaging me on Furry Amino every other day, and I don't check that anymore because it just, I've got this enormous backlog of messages. I can't go through all of them, and it makes me feel bad.
Yeah, that's really true. And something that a lot of people I know struggle with is feeling obligated to respond to everything. You are one person. If you were to make it big on there and you had, 50,000 or some people following you, there is no way in the blue hell that you are going to respond to every single one of those people. And honestly, you can't feel bad about that. If someone gets upset at you for not, responding to them within 5 minutes, tough luck. If that's on them, their reaction is on them. You have done nothing wrong. So, honestly, that's something I try to help him understand is that don't feel
problems coping, okay?
Yeah, don't feel guilty about not being able to reply to everybody because there are some people that take precedence, like friends and loved ones and Patreon supporters. So you can't always respond to, John Doe that you've never seen in your life before.
There is another point I wanted to make. I was saying earlier, Pakairu was one of my biggest inspirations for a YouTuber. When I first started talking to her, she didn't respond to me until almost a month later. So that tells me right there, she's constantly backed up with messages. So I knew not to bother her other than just that one time. Of course, now she's one of my Patreon supporters, and we sort of talk like every other day. But I still try not to bother her that much.
And that's not to say, don't outright ignore the people that you don't know that are messaging you, but don't feel obligated to respond so quickly because it just can't happen. And if they get mad at you for doing that, put them even further down the priority list. Bye. Have any of you seen that video about how the waiters decide which table are going to get the food based on how rude they are? That's how that works. Yes, Ryder?
Since I'm very fragile, how do you deal with hate comments if you get any? How do you deal with it? 'Cause I'm very
block button.
And I know everybody says just ignore it, but it's hard for me to do that.
It is very hard to ignore, trust me, especially if you get a lot of it at once. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I laugh at it because it's very half and half when you get hate comments. Half of it is very poor grammar, very bad spelling, like every comment you see on Jack's Films Your Grammar Sucks series, it's all that and it's hilarious. Or it's, the other half is, it's something that's very brilliantly put together and eloquent as they're fancifully insulting you. That is also hilarious.
I have more appreciation for trolls like that.
Yeah, people that take time to open their thesaurus and pull out several very colorful words to insult it. See, those are brilliant. I have received just one of those kinds of comments, and honestly, you could also use it as, content. As soon as you know what I did as soon as I got that comment? I threw my fursuit head on, I turned my camera on, and I read it out loud. Because it was great. At one point he said, take your Cheeto dust covered fingers, and he kept going, I can't even remember, but Cheeto dust covered fingers was the funniest thing I had ever seen. I'm not kidding, I hee-hawed. Tears streaming down my face, could not breathe. It hit me right in the funny bone. It was the greatest thing. So back to the point, yeah. Just laugh at it, honestly, because at the end of the day, they're taking time out of their lives to try to make you feel bad, which is sad and hilarious. So, you know, sucks to be you. Do you have any comments on that story?
Sometimes I just like to say, you know, let it roll off your back. People like that want your attention, and you want to give them
That's all they want. They just want a reaction out of it.
Stormi, do you play video games at all?
Does Stormi play video games?
I don't know. I haven't watched it. I don't know what's
I
on
like
it.
to play the one with the blue mutant hedgehog. I don't remember his name, but he's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. But you don't play any new games?
Yeah, right here.
What is that, Mario? I can't tell.
Yes, Vic?
Stormi, when did you start being a Sonic fan?
Oh God.
Back when it was cringy.
We're gonna have to go back to the dark ages for that one.
Hey,
I must have been 3 or 4 years old. I'm not kidding. That's where it all started.
Nice.
All right, we're at 10 minutes. Anyone else?
You cut your paws off.
I don't know. I'll put them back on though.
Did you have another question, Saki?
Oh yeah. You think this Sega Dreamcast is the best console ever?
One of the best. One of my favorites. Unfortunately, the PS2 killed it, but you know.
That was the saddest war ever.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Can I perpetuate the awkward silence?
Various cricket
I
noises.
guess I got one. What would you recommend for audio equipment? Because I know that sometimes there's some crappy audio equipment and people complain so much about the mic being terrible.
I have no advice on that because literally this is the only thing I use. I have no mic,
Sorry.
no fancy camera. I just kind of fiddle with the volume on Premiere Pro and go with it.
That's a really good question, though. If you're just starting to like record videos, one thing you want to do, and if you're bird sitting, it's unfortunate you have to turn off the air conditioning because it's a lot of background noise. Second thing you want to do, when you can afford it at some point, it doesn't have to be a priority. Invest in another microphone when you could connect to either your phone or your PC. In this case, I use a Snowball Blue Ice. But for my regular videos, I just use the microphone on my camera and I filter and EQ it to hell and back. And eventually it sounds okay. Eventually.
Yeah. Honestly, there was something that a YouTuber that I really like. Y'all know Tom Scott? They do the ASDF movies. Yep. Tom Scott did this really good video about how to start a YouTube channel, and he put when it comes to audio, he put it like this. He says, people's ears will be offended before their eyes. So that essentially means that audio is a bit more important than video. Like if you have a great, like a really grainy quality camera, but the audio is really good, then people will be more forgiving than if you have a really clear-cut video, but the audio is garbage.
I mean, that's how your message gets delivered. I mean, people are going to hear what you got to say literally through audio. They're not going to always be looking at you.
So if you're wanting to invest a little bit in some equipment to enhance your videos, then definitely try to go for enhancing your audio before your video.
Because I remember when I was Skyping my ex back when we were still a thing, and he kept complaining about the motor running in the laptop because the webcam was built in.
Background noise is a big thing. It's something that I always struggle with.
I had that problem too, so I understand what you're talking about.
There's a YouTuber that actually uses 2 different mics, 2 different qualities. His name is H2 Hilarious. He's not a furry at all or anything. He uses a bad one for when he's playing with his friends. So he stands out more to his audience. Because when you listen to them in like background when they're working or something and they're kind of mixing and you can't tell who it is. And when he's playing like single player games, his is more clear and it's more better. So you can technically use a bad mic to make yourself stand out more.
You could use it to your advantage.
It just comes down to doing your research, seeing what other YouTubers use, and kind of just fiddling around with whatever equipment you have.
That's what I did. I did a lot of fiddling around for like 3 or 4 weeks, and I've tried everything from sticking microphones into my fursuit head to using regular lapel
I was going to
mics.
ask that, actually. Have you ever thought about, like, syncing 2 microphones, one in your fursuit head and one on your table? Like, I was thinking about that, like, when it comes to my stuff, because we all know it can be kind of muffled in a fursuit. Like, when you did that, if you did that, like you just mentioned it, I was kind of thinking about, like, getting two kind of cheap but still good microphones, and putting one on, like, the table or desk, or having it hang from somewhere, and having the other one in my head, and somehow, or one way or another, I don't know how to, but syncing them up so you can kind of hear from both angles. Like, would that work?
That's a really interesting idea. I'm kind of doing the same with my videos right now, but when you're talking about using a microphone inside of the fursuit head, my experience is it doesn't work well at all. The mic constantly rustles around. It makes a lot of noise.
Something that a lot of YouTubers that are fursuiters will do is that they'll record themselves video, and then they'll go back without the fursuit, and they will physically re-record just as on an audio program exactly how they said it in their video. Like, they'll follow along and say exactly what they said again, and just dub it over.
A voiceover.
Like a voiceover. I don't have the patience for that, so I do not do that. But that's usually, there's one of the earliest YouTubers that I watched, her name is Abergwine. She did the Furries in the Media. That's how she explained how she did her audio and her videos. So that's definitely very effective.
I kind of have a question for the audience. Does anybody know what happened to Abergwine at all?
I think she just stopped the series.
Honestly, yeah, she wrapped up Furries in the Media and then just kind of went on her merry way.
I really enjoyed that series.
I like the series too. That's kind of. Alrighty, well, unfortunately we're out of time. Thank you guys so much for attending. We had a great time. And y'all enjoyed the convention. Thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you next time.